Hello, can anyone hear me?
Hi, Troy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, I thought I dropped my signal there for a second. It's good to know that everybody's here. Looks like we're almost at full capacity. So we'll go ahead and start. Um, I am so excited. We're gonna have a spotlight today for Michelle, and those of you who don't know, Michelle and Sally and I went and had lunch together last Friday, and it was delightful. And we got to meet her daughter, sweet little daughter, who's. I told you, Michelle, I'm gonna have to ask a couple of times. I do remember that your husband's name is Jordan. I got that part down, but
Yes,
and your daughter's name was
Maisie.
Maisie. Okay, I was flirting with the M word, but I just couldn't come up with it. So Maisie. And so we're delighted to have her introduce her spotlighted today by Becca. So Becca, I'm imagining that you want the screen, right?
Yes,
All
please.
right, I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay. All righty. So, like Troy just mentioned, Michelle's husband's name is Jordan, and their daughter is Maisie. She and Jordan were both born and raised in Arizona, and they met playing sports in college. And cute little Maisie is almost 3 years old. And this picture here on the left is one of Michelle's favorite pictures of her. Um, I asked her what is something that's considered a luxury that she doesn't think she could live without. And she said her phone because she uses it for everything. And it's one of the main ways she stays connected with the people that she loves but can't see. It's how she documents her memories by taking lots of pictures. And she relies on it heavily to get from point A to B because she's not great at directions unless she's familiar with the area. And then she said if not her phone, she would choose toilet paper, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Let's see. Okay, so she has two dogs, a pit bull and a red heeler. And she says, as you can see here, they put up with a lot. Um, they lived in Utah for 8 years and they loved it because they lived close to me. I guess that was just an added bonus. But they liked going up American Fork Canyon on the weekends. And they lived in Lehigh, so that was nice and close. So they would do that about every other weekend. And if she could go to a fictional place, she would most like to Neverland because you never grow up, and she loves the idea of being able to go back and look at life through a child's eyes, which I like. I think that's pretty cool. Um, and she said that when she thinks of Neverland, she thinks of adventure and youthful innocence. So they also love to explore the outdoors and ride ATVs and side by sides. She says that if she didn't have to sleep, um, what she would do with her extra time is she would probably explore the outdoors. She said that's a hard question because right now she's desperate for sleep, but she really would like to find good hikes and spots to camp with her family. And she feels unplugged from stress inducing things when she's outdoors. And then she'd also pamper herself in silence since she'd have some space while Maisie sleeps. She loves Christmas. She loves everything from the fun decorations to spending time with family and all the yummy desserts. And she always decorates 2 to 3 Christmas trees, and they are always themed Christmas trees, which is pretty awesome. She says that one job she would be terrible at would be cartography because she's not very good when it comes to directions or geography. So don't ask Michelle for directions ever. Unless she has her smartphone on her, then you might be okay. Um, On the right are some pictures of her favorite pastimes. Lots of hiking in Utah. She graduated from BYU. They would take annual trips to Lake Powell and trips to Mexico, and she loved playing softball and skiing. And then on the left, she and her husband went to Jamaica. And Michelle, isn't this the trip that Jordan won at work, the trip of a lifetime?
Yes, it is.
Yes. So Jordan is awesome at his work and won a trip of a lifetime where they could choose where they wanted to go. And they chose Jamaica. And this picture is right before riding the bobsled, which sounds super fun. And she said it was one of the most interesting places she's ever been. The water's beautiful. She said the people were really friendly and the coconut shrimp was amazing. She really liked talking to the locals and getting a feel for their culture. And she said trying some of their food was good, but other food was not so good. And asked her what she wished she knew more about, and she said finances. She knows that's kind of boring, but she feels like she needs to improve there, so that's what she would choose, which is very responsible. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.
So that was one of the. I wasn't laughing out loud, Becca, but that was probably one of the funniest spotlights I've ever heard. That
Oh,
was great, man.
thanks.
I'm going to show my screen, and I took a screenshot right here. I'm guessing you're number 3. Is that right, Michelle?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And just for your information, this is the community college that my son goes to that is less than 5 minutes from my house. So that's where Michelle played her collegiate softball. I was talking to Allie earlier today, and I told her, oh my gosh, we met Michelle, and she's just like you. She plays softball. She's your same height. She is even built like you. She plays the same position as you, and so you and Allie have a lot. And I know you did some training with Allie just yesterday, I think, and so it turns out you have more in common than you knew. So there you go. Allie's awesome.
That makes me happy, and I'm glad I'm not the only short one.
I didn't say
Oh,
short.
I got everybody beat. Don't worry.
That's what I heard.
We never said the short word. We said, I think under tall is the word that we use, right? So
Yes, yes, very professional about it.
welcome to the team, Michelle. Welcome to the family. So with that, I think what we'd like to do is turn the time over to Steve for some training, a security refresher. And this is interesting. I don't know if Steve, if you're going to mention the situation this morning, but if you don't, I will at the end. But so I'm guessing you're going to want the screen as well.
Yes, please.
All right, it is yours.
So, Michelle, welcome. Every once in a while, we kind of talk about security here because it's a big deal. And here is an email that Sally got this morning. So y'all need to take a really good look at this. This is pretty simple, but this went to Sally at wellsteps.com. She got it this morning at 7:19. Anybody have any ideas about this? Go ahead, you can speak up. Anything seem a little strange? Anybody finding any clues here?
Then from an iPhone. You don't have an iPhone.
Ed, you win the prize. Very good. I don't have an iPhone. That's one clue.
Also, it asks about being in an office.
Are you in the office? And I could see myself maybe saying that. I would probably say, are you working today, kind of a thing? Yeah.
I
don't know if you refer to yourself as Dr. Stephen Aldana with Sally, but maybe.
Never. I never use that title. So you are all picking up cues. So Sally got this. She went through it pretty quickly, and she responded. And she said, yeah, I'm here right now. And she just hit a reply. She didn't probably look really carefully at the reply address, but she said, yeah, I'm here right now. So this is this morning at 10:37 Arizona time. This person then responded again. Can you prepare a wire transfer for $32,650 to a vendor once I get their wiring instructions? Any more clues here, anybody?
Their
Well, now-
email address is odd.
Their email has my name and it has a crazy email address attached to it. That's who Sally was responding to, ceo.ceo@mail.com. So now what? Sally got this one. This one's pretty good, I have to admit. They're using my email address as from, and that's pretty easy to change. At this point, I got a text message from Troy, and Troy's going, what's up with the wire transfer? And I called him back and I go, I don't know what you're talking about. And this happened this morning where Sally got pinged by somebody who got my name and faked my email address asking for a wire transfer. And she called because she knows that if there are ever wire transfers, I handle them on my end, and that I would never be calling her regarding a wire transfer in the first place. But it was enough of a few little clues and hints for Troy to text me this morning or to call me. I called him back and he says, you know, what's up with your iPhone text message? And I go, well, first off, I don't have an iPhone. Second off, I wouldn't text message you that. And then we discovered that this was somebody trying to get us to wire transfer some money. So we were able to catch on to it pretty quickly, but this was pretty good. I have to say, this is, unless you're really digging for the clues, or unless we have backup processes in place, you would never know. You know, yeah, we do wire transfers and we're a company, and they happen to send the letter to Sally. They probably sent it to a lot of people, but somehow they figured out Sally might be the controller. So they got a lot of pieces together really well. I told Sally, go ahead and play into the game and see, go ahead and then say, yeah, let's do it. Just tell me that, you know, the wiring instructions, and see. Once we get the wiring instructions, we can find out actually where the bank is located and what account they're using. But this is a group trying to get us to send them $32,000. And I have to say, it's one of the most clever ones I've ever seen. So the first question I have is, how do we sort through this? How do we make sure that we're not falling victim to this kind of thing? And then when in doubt, you know, just don't do it. Ed, we have an account with DHL, Excel, Be Well. I got an email, a voicemail from a company last week claiming to be a contracts manager for DHL. And they're working with DHL to refine their invoicing and processing. And they needed me to send them a copy of our contract with DHL, which I thought was very unusual. So I wrote down all the notes. I wrote down their number. I called their number, and their number just goes to some song. It doesn't go to a real person. I thought to myself, that's an extremely clever way to get a copy of a contract between a vendor and their company. If you know that some company's working with some other company, you could call them up and say, hey, I'm representing them and I need you to send me a copy of your contract, which I'm going to guess most people wouldn't think twice about it. They would just send off a PDF of the contract. I called them. It's a strange number. And the name that they gave me doesn't check out. They're not online anywhere. So that's two occasions where I've got some weird stuff. Now, that's not necessarily computer security, but it is financial security, and it is a lot of things that we have to face every day. And this was one of the most clever ones we've seen yet. I don't know, Sally, Troy, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, I will say that they got me for just for a little bit, and until I looked a little bit closer, I saw some of the things that Ed mentioned, and I was like, wait a minute, this is off. Plus, it was sent at 7:19 this morning, and I know Steve very well, and I know that he's out walking with Diana at that time in the morning. So that didn't add up. He wouldn't send an email like that. But I don't think Sally has. I don't think she's able to talk.
Well, the one clue, and it's funny, is I'm pretty proud because I still have an old and busted flip phone that I use. I have an iPad, and I like to claim I'm a little bit tech savvy, but most of you have been harassing me for 10 years because I don't have an iPhone. And that's a well-known fact within this organization. So I actually have 4 iPhones. I get them and I fix them and I help my kids keep theirs, and I can fix them and repair them. I just don't care to use one because it's so big and bulky and I have my iPad when I need it. So anyway, inside information helped us glean through here and figure out what was really going on. So part of our security is helping you guys understand things like this, but more importantly, when we get malware or we get an attack from some virus, the question that we sometimes get is, how do you know if there's a virus on my computer? So I've just got a few quick items to show you some things to look for if there's a virus on your computer. We're worried about that because they can have viruses that do keyboard logging. So every time it could sit on your computer unbeknownst to you, and every time you type on your keyboard, it would look up the URL you're typing and it would capture any information you put on your keyboard. So if you type in a password, keyword loggers will grab that password, and they show up in viruses. They're very simple to use, but they're very effective at getting passwords and things. So how do you know some weird stuff's going on your computer? Well, first off, if your applications are running really slow, or they take longer to start than usual, after you've restarted your computer, if it's taking a really long time and things are weird, that's kind of a warning sign. You get some weird pop-ups, just some random annoying ads, strange messages. And by the way, you've probably seen some of these, and most of these are older ones, but don't ever click on them. Just know that there's some weird stuff going on here. If you've got a PC, sometimes it'll crash, and sometimes you can get the blue window of death. That happens on occasion. I have seen all of these, by the way. I have seen this one as well. And maybe some really weird but official looking pop-ups like low disk space, or just some weird stuff that you've not seen before. That's possible. We see less of these now, but they're there. Your homepage changed and you don't remember doing it yourself. That's a common one. I see your search engine has changed and you didn't change it yourself. Or maybe there's a new bookmark in your browser that you didn't put there yourself. Homepage changing is a big one. I have seen these before. I use an antivirus product and keep getting this message that the protection is disabled. Okay, that only can happen if you do it yourself, but they can make these windows pop up and share. And if you click, then you can do some stuff. And I have seen these on PCs. I've also seen some of these similar things on a Mac. My friends keep telling me they're getting in Facebook, or more important, I see in email. If you get a bizarre email text from somebody you don't know, or somebody that you do know, but it doesn't seem right, chances are they don't know they're sending out email addresses because somebody's hijacked their email. And that's even happened to WellSteps before on our WellSteps accounts, where emails were being sent out like crazy from somebody. We've got a handle on that now, but we have seen that. There's new or unfamiliar icons on your desktop or toolbar that you don't recognize. That's commonly done with malware. And by the way, I just got a weird one like this on my iPad for the first time. I use Safari, like you probably use on your iPhones, and my iPad was getting these really strange pop-ups and a new image on my toolbar. And after spending quite a bit of time trying to figure it out, the only solution to this was to get an ad blocker specifically on my iPad. And that was actually at the recommendations of the Apple support people, was you have to get an ad blocker. That's their solution, which I thought was unusual. I've seen your hard drive running even when you're not working. Now, it's common for you to be updating and your system be updating, but it shouldn't be doing it on a regular basis. If your hard drive is just running and running and running at a weird time, that's a warning sign. So having listed those, the question then is, if you see some of these symptoms, what do you do? And my first suggestion is call me or Troy, and we'll be able to walk you through. And by the way, don't turn off your computer. Don't try to log out. Just give us a call and we can actually look at your screen and see what's going on. If there's something going on, we can help you diagnose it pretty quickly and update and do some things, because most of you and us, we've seen a lot of these. So if it is acting up and it is a little weird, give us a call. We'll see if we can't figure out what's going on. Questions about that by anybody? Basic stuff. Something else you probably don't know. This is the WellSteps ISP, our information security policy. So unbeknownst to probably most of you, we have a massive 47-page document that we maintain at WellSteps, and we update this thing every single month. So this document is our internet security policy and protocols with employee responsibilities and network connectivity and telecommuting and encryption and contingency plans and backups, and it's all here. We have this massive document, and every month, Brian, Paul, Steve, Troy, and Jenny, sometimes we go through, we have been through every single section in this thing once, and we make notes. And we say, here's the action, here's the status of this item, here's when it was completed, and here who's audited. So the TA is Troy Adams. And we go through all 17 chapters of this thing every year, but every month we go through all of these sections. And there's several sections in here that deal with employees. And our meeting today is in an attempt to kind of help tighten things down on the employee side of what we do. A lot of this you won't care about because it has to do with our security and on our server and backups and disaster recovery and all this other kind of stuff. This is the HIPAA guidelines for security. And every time we get a new big account that's serious about security, and Ed and Kendall both bring banks, electrical utilities, schools never do this, but hospitals are crazy. I have to go through and fill out this really complex security assessment. All of these kinds of things are listed here. In fact, they want to see this document. And it tells them we're serious about this, and we follow all these protocols, and we do all these kinds of things, and we follow this very, very regularly. And I complete these big assessments and send them back. Their security people go through everything, and they can usually come back with questions. Well, what about this and what about that? And we've got to be as secure as we possibly can. So behind the scenes, there's an awful lot going on the security side that most of you don't know. This is a Google document that we keep live and we share it. And every month for, well, we're going on 3 years now, we go through this thing almost every single month, make changes, update it, sign off on it, document audits, all the stuff that goes on. And there's a lot besides this, but I just thought I would share that with you so you guys know how we're pretty serious about this. And that was the most boring part of our staff meeting, unfortunately.
Get off the stage.
That was awesome. Any questions about either part of Steve's presentation? Comments?
It's what we have to do. And you know, when we think about our white seller solution or our reseller solution, people wanting to use our platform and calling it their own and doing all this, they love that because they don't have to worry about all of this crap that we have to do. So if you want to build your own wellness platform, knock yourself out, you're going to have to do all of this, not just build the platform and run the software and update the code and keep everything running. But now you've got to do all of the security and technology stuff on the back end to make sure you're HIPAA compliant and that you can meet all the security requirements of the toughest banks and hospitals out there. And most of these guys saying, well, I just want to sell a wellness program. Great. Here's the reseller model. We'll train you. We'll take care of all the other stuff. And more groups are saying, we don't even want to mess with the back end stuff. God bless you, WellSteps people, take care of it for us. So
Steve,
we're there, and that's what we do.
I think it would be really interesting for, well, we could talk in generalities about the attacks we've gotten from other countries, but just before we instituted the recent policy change with blocking, what was the number of hits that we got from China or Russia like every day?
I'll just give you a quick look. I can go in here real quickly and grab that, Troy. I'm going to give me just a second. I am going into our server, and I'll show my screen again. I'm still showing it, I suppose.
Let me see.
I don't see it. There we go.
So this is inside the user interface on our server. It's called WHM. There's a security center here, and our server has a lot of stuff. This thing's called brute force protection. Many of you have already run into this. If you try to log into your email or into admin, or any other part, you get 4 attempts. And if you fail, we lock you out. And here are all of the failed logins today. There are 754 in here right now. So these failed logins, these are people who are using all kinds of weird stuff to get in here. And they can even fake using your email address. I'll bet I can find one of your email addresses in here on some of these. They are constantly pinging and hacking our server to try to get in to get into our stuff. Here's Anna at wellsteps.com. Anna, I know you didn't do that, but somebody's grabbed your email address and they're trying to hack into our system. They've had 4 fails to get into this thing, and now they've been locked out for 24 hours. And it just so happens that the person trying to get into our system is actually located in India, Uttar Pradesh, from the city of Allahabad. That's where they're located. And that person has been pinging away, trying to get in as Anna at wellsteps.com. They failed. We lock them out for almost a day. If they fail at the login, we give them a 1-day block. You can't try again for 24 hours. And these are all the people who have been blocked. There's 42 now. In 24 hours, they can try again, but they can only try 4 times, and then we kick them out. This is called brute force protection. It just so happens that we've blocked China, Russia, Belarus, Ukraine. That got rid of about 80% of all the hacking trying to get into our system. But we're still getting, daily blocks and failed logins. We still have 800. That's way better than 6,000. And this is pretty much almost every single day, people trying to get in. BJ still trying to hammer us. There you go. BJ's trying to get in. Carly's hammering us. Carly, you're in big trouble.
Oh no.
They use your email, then they try to come up with a fake password. They try to block in and they try to see where you're at. Looks like Carly's trying to hack us from Lisbon, Portugal, Spain.
Oh, snap.
Portugueses.
Yeah, Spain.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So we're pretty serious about all of this. And Ed, there you are. You're not out of this either.
That's fine. I'll figure it out one of these days and steal all the IP I need.
Yeah. So do you see why it's important that we have pretty good passwords? And this is why we keep telling you that you need to have good passwords, so somebody can't get lucky and guess. Anyway, enough security stuff. There's just the tip of the security iceberg, but there's an awful lot going on. This is just a little quick overview so you can see how deep it goes for what we do. So how do you apply this information? Well, first of all, on a personal level, you should all look at the password for your router. You should make sure it's a really good password. You should look at the password for your computer. You should password protect your computer. All of these things you should do. You should talk to your husband or your wife and make sure that they understand this stuff, and protect your own stuff. Use this information to protect your own stuff. Keep bad people out. Chances are, because you're not a company, you don't have the extensive attacks on your stuff, but you can see that there's Maple Mountain Press. We're trying to get in with feedback at WellSteps Report, where we're using everything we can to try to get into our system. So enough about that. Let's. I think we sufficiently scared everybody, Steve.
Yeah, man. Kelsey's hammering away. Kendall, he's guilty.
I'm going to take the screen over before he gets down to T. So. All right.
Hey Troy, this is Isabel. I just want to plug the ops manual really fast. So just so you all know, if you have questions about it, in the ops manual, there's a security section, and all of the the virus symptoms and how to identify a virus and what to do if you find a virus on your computer. All of that's in the ops manual listed out. So just wanted to make a plug for that.
Woohoo! And I think Steve said, but the first impulse you're going to have when you experience something like this is that you're going to want to restart your computer. Or you're going to want to I would resist any impulse to touch anything. If you think you have something going on that's weird for any reasons, any of the symptoms that Steve mentioned, best thing you can do is to reach out to me or Steve and say, hey, I've got this going on. And the best news that we're going to give you all day is you got nothing going on. Restart your machine, you're fine. But if you don't, then we're gonna want to know about it. So I think that's sufficient. We sufficiently freaked people out. So we'll go ahead and toss to Jenny. Jenny is fortunate, Jenny, that you have a relatively short list after all that, because I think all the air is sucked out of the room.
Yeah, I think so. But that's okay. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that we have such a good IT team and security team that does that. So we as operations don't have to. Do you want to throw me the screen real quick, Troy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do not have that much today. As most of you know, the app has now been quote unquote whitelisted, white labeled. What that means is that both the Android version and Apple, if you were to go in and update and then restart your phone, or if you for some reason did not have the WellSteps app and you then downloaded it, you would see whatever, when you log in, whatever the managing company is for the account that you're logging in, that's going to be the logo that you see, or your company logo. So pretty much what we have been able to do is strip out WellSteps from being the standard logo that's there. And the main reason that this was done was for resellers and for some of our larger WellSteps book of business accounts. This means that we don't have to try and create multiple versions of the app, which is not possible for Apple, and is likely not going to be possible for Google here in the next little bit. But just so you know, it did go through very thorough testing. There might be a couple changes here and there, but the other thing that was updated with this big new version is MyTracker. So when you had MyTracker specifically syncing with Apple Health, there were some issues that came about when you had very limited storage space. So I know a lot of us guides had run into that issue, as well as some of our users. So that has now been resolved, and we should not see those issues. But as always, if you have problems with that, go ahead and take it to your team leader first, and then we can get a bug ticket in if need be. So outside of the app, I only have one other thing that I wanted to talk about. And really, this is kind of a plug, not necessarily a plug, but a big thank you to everybody for the past couple months. I know we say it all the time, but we are running at lightning speed at WellSteps. We are implementing things like crazy. We are keeping our accounts happy. We are giving them great service. We're selling accounts like you wouldn't even believe. And there has been so many things happening and so many updates within the past 60 to 90 days that it's really quite mind-boggling what a force that's as small as our group is able to do. So huge props to everybody on that. And I did want to tie that into our priority list. So as you guys know, we have a great IT group, Brian at the helm, we have Paul, and then we also have Will. Now they each have somewhat different roles within the IT team as far as what they do. For example, Paul does anything MyTracker, he does anything app. Brian usually does our other major enhancements, focuses on bugs. Will also does a lot of our testing and fixing some of our smaller bugs and small enhancements. So everybody has a role. And as you can imagine, and have probably had conversations about, the hardest thing is figuring out a priority list of what to do next, because we're trying to manage client requests, client bugs, enhancements, security items, and all of these things that will eventually make us better, that will just give us a better version of WellSteps. So we have actually come up as a leadership group. We will be meeting twice a month, and we will be doing everything based on our running priority list. And I don't think I have the screen showing. Let me see if I can pop that up.
I don't even see you as a potential presenter, Jenny. I just.
Oh, where am I? Oh, I'm showing as Emily. I'm not sure why. Let me.
Okay.
Let's see. But basically, I wanted to show this list with you guys and share this with you so that you could have a sneak peek at kind of how things are prioritized and where they come from. Obviously, client needs, especially if there's additional payment or if it's something that closed a deal, an enhancement that was promised to close a deal, those have to be done. There are typically deadlines on those. They need them by certain time frames. So those are going to be significant items that will be towards the top of our list. Any of our large enhancements, things like our peer and individual challenges and badges and updating the campaign team room. These are very big enhancements that we have to get on this priority list, or else we won't be able to prioritize those with IT, and then they don't end up happening in a timely manner. So just so you know, as a group, Troy and Steve and myself, as well as Brian, meet twice a month. We will go through this priority list. We will add anything new that needs to go on there. We will adjust any of the order as necessary. And this will be our priority list Bible. This is what we will be working from. Obviously, bugs come up that need to be addressed and things of that nature. But the far majority of the time, you can pretty much always know what IT is doing based on how these things come up in the priority list. And this is a list that there's a lot of thought and a lot of process that goes into this. They come from, again, a lot of different places. The design team has a very big part in a lot of these items. So we see it as this big conveyor belt. The items come up on the priority list. Let's take the design team, for example. They have likely already come up with the solution and the proposed enhancement. So as soon as it does get to the top of the list, IT is ready to go. They knock that out and boom, 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 we move on to the next one. So I will be the first to say I have not been perfect at following this in the past, but we all have a very, very renewed energy to follow this list and do our very best to serve not only our clients, but you guys as an operations and a sales team to make sure that everybody is getting what they need in as timely a manner as possible. So Steve, Troy, do you guys have anything else you wanted to mention on that?
I'm good.
Okay. The only other thing that I have today is our lovely wheel. As you can see, our slices are getting bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So please be aware and please note that these things are coming. So Amanda, let's get to know you.
Woohoo! Okay, so it's like a couple things that people might not know, right?
Yep.
Yep, that's perfect.
I think every staff meeting I try to think of things. Let's see. A couple years ago, I think one of my most proudest physical activity thing was I pulled my 18-month-old at the time on a 50-mile round trip bike camping trip. So it was him and then sleeping stuff, and we slept in cabins, but we went with some friends and we took the train as far as it went out in the Portland area, and then biked 25 miles out and then 25 back. And then probably never do that again because I'm not going to pull two kids in a bike anymore. So in high school, I went on a summer trip to Mexico and a couple other countries and swam with dolphins and hiked some. One of the places, if anyone has seen A New Hope, Star Wars, the scene where they're coming onto the planet, I can't remember the planet, but they're standing in some very Mayan ruin type things. Anyway, I've been to that spot where they filmed it in Central America. And I think a few people know this, but I sew a lot of clothes for me or my kids or other people's kids. And yeah, I don't know. That's about it. All I can think about. So.
And the people said, "Whoop whoop." So
I didn't know that about the clothes. That's pretty cool.
It is very cool. Now we're exempting Michelle and Shaylise from this because we're getting to know them here pretty quick. But everyone else is, and including you, Jenny. I see your name there. I see Carly. So your odds of getting selected are becoming slimmer and slimmer.
What are we going to do when everybody's had their turn and we've finished the wheel?
I think the last the last time when we only have 2 people left, we ought to hear from both people rather than spinning. And then we maybe we can wait until we come around again, or unless we can think of something new.
If we keep hiring people, we'll never have to change it.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, I think that concludes our staff meeting today. We went a little bit over, but thank everybody for attending. And I know that we'll talk to everyone here really soon. And everybody have a great weekend. See you, everyone.